Hello, this is Jer. I'm playing Timberborn. I'm going to be starting a new game, and the goal of this game is to unlock the Iron Teeth. And it says to unlock, reach an average well-being of 15 while playing the Folktales. So I'll select the Folktales, and I'm going to do the Plains, the recommended map. Made a few videos on hard mode, but this time through to unlock, I'm going to go through normal mode. So we'll give this a try. Okay. I'm going to call this unlock. Oh, I already tried that before. Unlock 1. Is that there we go. Now here I'm going to up the amount of time to beavers work to 20 hours. Oh, I always forget to do this. I need to mark which trees need to come down. So I will harvest these two set of trees. Along with that, I of course have the lumberjack flags, 3 of them, 2 here and 1 over here. Place for blueberries to grow. That will switch over here in time. And a place to get water because beavers do not survive without water. And the crucial thing is the first dam. I'm going to create that very early on in the game. The reason for that is when I have my first drought, I want to be able to stop the water from escaping over on this side, so that will allow me to continue to grow things, get water, and survive in this game. So beavers are making progress on the dam, as well as I had to move the blueberry picking over here because they used up all the blueberries that are down there and consuming a lot of the wood in the forest. But I suspect I'll be able to create that dam before that completely is used up. So the dam is complete, which is nice to see. That's going to allow me to store water on this side when there's a drought. And I'm constructing my farm, and I'm going to get rid of these old blueberry bushes because I'm going to prefer growing carrots to blueberries. So farmhouse has been created. That's going to allow me those beavers to plant carrots. And I built 2 lumberjack flags over here. Of course, I'm going to have to remember to mark these trees to be turned into wood. So I've started construction of the water wheel. It's going to be here. As well, I've set the priority, or I'm going to set the priority, I should say, is to planting rather than digging out. I find that's an essential thing. Okay, so with some of the critical infrastructure created, I'm going to take this down to 18 hours. So the beavers have just put in the power shafts, and I have this 4 connection here for future stuff, but main thing is to get it to connect here so I can create some, or get some power to the lumber mill to create planks. So one of the major things that the next step I want to have happen now is to build a forester so I can grow my own trees rather than relying on trees that I find in the map. So I now have an inventor and a beaver working in there. That's going to give me research points, and that's necessary to unlock several things, but the forester is the next. Alright, so I actually built a second farmhouse, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put 1 worker on each one. That's going to have a different priority. So one's going to have a priority of planting, and the other is going to have the priority of harvesting. So each day that they need to get food, this one over here is going to make sure that they get food for the day, pulling the carrots together out. At least that's a priority. And the one over here is going to make sure that for more long term in the future that they plant things early on so that we don't run out of food. Now, of course, we don't have enough workers, so I may need to pause a few things so we get beavers in there. So what I'm going to do is destroy this barrier So I want this to form a little lake of sorts, and that's going to allow more growing area over here. Research points to get a forester, so I'll unlock that. Put this over here, and I'm going to start growing pine. So I have less than 3 days now to the next drought. Also have a forester created, and that beaver has already started to plant the first pine, which I'll be able to convert to wood in the future. Start it, which means that river is drying up. But because I have a dam, some of the water, half the water, will not drain, be allowed to pass through here. So that's keeping the water on this side, which means I can continue to pump water for my beavers to drink, as well as it irrigates the land so I can continue to grow food. It's ended. I've also created a number of lodges for the beavers to live in, so they no longer have to sleep somewhere out in the grass. And we should start to see some water come back from the river since the drought is over. That means that I'm going to be able to start producing power again. So while I was not able to run the lumber mill due to no power, I can put that back on. Once, of course, the water reaches it, which it shouldn't take too long. There it is. I've created this floodgate. This allows me to configure what height it is. And this is going to be very useful because I can store even more water than the dam can for the next drought. So another drought is about to start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this to the top, which means it's going to start storing water. And it might overflow a little bit, but I'll keep an eye on it. So the water in the river stopped flowing. Now we have more water in here than we would just by the dam itself, which means it'll last longer. Doing a little bit of construction so I can access the top up here. And I'm also constructing a floodgate over here that I'll be able to store water in this river for the next drought. So I've completed a number of buildings on top of this area here. I've got 2 more research places. I also have a place for the beavers to relax, collecting some of the logs up here. And this is a new building. It is a teeth grindstone. I noticed some of the beavers had broken teeth. I didn't know how that would resolve. Well, they go to here and sharpen their teeth. So obviously the drought is over, so we have some flooding. So I need to take this down. And that should take care of the flooding situation. Maybe I'll drop it to the bottom to increase its speed to get my land back. And bring it up to half. There we go. I also, since I'm here, I have a gear workshop and a windmill so I can get power even when it's my water isn't running. Of course, it has to be windy. So I'm expanding over here, and the idea is I'm going to be building another district, but that district will need to have its own food and water source. I've got some storage buildings over here, so I'm putting that all in place before I actually construct the new district. So it's the beginning of another drought. I probably could have timed closing the floodgate earlier, but I'm not worried about it at this point. Might have to pay attention when the droughts get longer, as they do. But in addition to having that to floodgate, I closed this one, which stores water here. It means I could grow stuff along here if I had access to it. It gives me a little bit of growing area here, but also if this ever dries out, I can open this before the drought is over and it can actually refill this area. making me be able to survive a longer drought. Underground warehouse. I'm able to store 4,000 things here. I needed some gears for that. Fortunately, I have a gear workshop. And over in what's going to be the new district in the future, I'm just building some more things, some places for beavers that are going to live over there, some entertainment, and I'm planting some maples. I've got some carrots growing. More pumps over here. I've got 2 large water tanks, and we're also at the last point before the drought's about to start, so I'm going to put this up early, as well as the one that is upstream. I've got it paused at the moment. Now that that is up, I'll watch it. I'm just checking to make sure that it doesn't overflood with the last little bit of water that's going to arrive. That may be the case. I'll have to manage that. Up to speed here. So we see a lot more water coming into this lake, or the rivers. Both this one's starting to get overflow, so open it. One down here. Drought has started. I think we're good. Now we're able to get through a much longer drought, though I don't think we're gonna have an issue with 4 days. So I have gone and migrated some of my population, 4 beavers, to this new district. I also have a border here. So it's self-sustaining in the fact that it has its own water and food source. It is growing its own trees, but I do have a distribution center that is sending logs to this location over here. And the main project that I'm going to be getting them to do is build a levee over here, as well as a dam at this location, or a floodgate. That's going to allow me to store lots of water over here for longer droughts in the future. So one of the beavers was injured, so I built this new building called a medical bed, sorry, and that beaver is recovering there. So I'm thinking I actually might want to build a second one in case multiple people are injured, and I put one in my new district area, or at least it's going to be built over here. And this district is making progress on a wall that's going to be built here. It's going to hold water back. So it is becoming increasingly important to manage the water at the beginning of a drought. So we're about halfway down. I'm going to close the floodgate early. That's going to allow water to rise. And the goal here is just to make sure that I get as much water stored as possible so that I can get through the drought. Other thing I'll note, I have some platform tiles here that I replaced with the dam to allow water to go through this point. I'm not sure if a little bit of excess flooding over here, definitely a bunch. I'll be careful that it doesn't go over here, but yeah, this is not good. So the drought has started. What I need to do is temporarily let some water out so that the flooding goes away, but yet we still have lots of water in storage. And it's a bit of a balancing act. One of the things, I'm not a big fan of this game. I'm assuming they're going to have some sort of automation or some sort of mechanism to not make it so painful to have to manually do this, but they're not there yet. At least I haven't figured out how to do it. I'm pretty sure it's something that has to be added to the game. But I think I'm pretty in a really good situation for surviving this drought. Big project has just been completed. I have a triple floodgate over here set, so I'll be able to store water on this side of it. And I have a wall completed over here We've got a floodgate here, which I'm going to use later on, but it's all the way up. And that's going to store a large amount of water for the next drought. So the drought has ended, which means this river should be flowing again. There it is. And I brought this floodgate up to the, well, not the very top, but 2.5, which means a lot of water should be storing here before it goes over this side. And this wall should be preventing it from going down here. This is actually one tile higher than it needs to be. That's going to just prevent a little bit of excess flow. So this makes a gigantic lake that I'll be able to draw on if I ever need it in the middle of a drought. So huge water storage. Eventually though, this will, once it gets filled up, start flowing over here, so I'd better drop these floodgates. So it's taking a while to fill up because it is a huge area, but it'll eventually fill up and I'll be getting water out this side. So setting up a second power station for some future work. I have some showers. I've got a new temple and a Lido. And I've increased my well-being to 11. And I'm working towards getting that up to 15. Now, the second district here is made progress. I'm actually expanding this area here. And that's why I built this. This is going to let a lot of water down here. And I'll be able to grow stuff on either side of this through irrigation. So I'm adding a lot more power, both wind and water. But I also have this new science station. It consumes power, but it produces more research, which is nice, because I want to lock many things in this game. So I'm trying to build a carousel, but I'm in need of metal blocks. So I need to find some scrap metal. And there's some over here, so I actually have a scavenger flag here. Though that's going to run out of scrap metal at some point. So thinking of future, I set up a future district over here that's going to be mining this. So I'm at the point where I'm ready to create a district over here. So what I'm going to do is create a border. So I need to destroy a piece of the road. Have it right there. And put a gate there, and I need to put a spot for the district that has to be accessible to this over here, which I have not built before. I'll probably have to unlock that. There it is, a mine. Alright, actually I need special wood to actually mine it. I did not know that. Alright. And I don't have enough science points for it. Great. So this district will just be ignored for the time being. So I'm thinking the mine might not actually be needed, because originally I clicked on one of these thinking that there was 45 pieces of scrap metal, but actually there's a lot more. Each individual block has its own amount of scrap metal, so I may not need to mine in order to keep my goal is just to get up to 15. So I think I can ignore that other district, and I'm setting up a distribution place to be able to send that scrap metal to my main district. Okay, so this is my route here to send scrap metal to my main base or district. Oh, whoops. I haven't actually put in a spot to drop it off. Do that. Just realize, so I've got a smelter. You actually need scrap metal to make the smelter, so this is going to be important to send scrap metal there. So I'm going to send it to this base or district. And look for scrap metal. I'll start to receive scrap metal here. I'll be able to create a refinery, and we'll see about actually getting some metal out of it. So I'm building a wood workshop, but I also have my smelter completed. That's creating metal blocks, and the first metal blocks are being dropped off here at the carousel, which will allow it to be completed at some point. Greased 2 points in the last little while. I've added labor monument. Apparently that has pressed them. One more point left to go. I've got wood workshop created. Still trying to get my carousel built, more than halfway there. And I'm starting an area where I can produce some wheat and change the type of crop I'm growing. I was expecting to need the carousel complete, the mud or the mud bath, and to start producing bread. I started those, but I actually made it to 15, which means I have a new faction unlocked, Iron Teeth. So there it is. I have unlocked the Iron Teeth in Timberborn.